Have you ever thought about just how messed up the lives of some cartoon characters are? Like, yeah, it's fun to watch Tom get beaten to a pulp for the millionth time, but at some point you've got to start feeling bad for him. So today we're going to look at the 3 tiers of cartoon characters that had the worst destinies imaginable, starting with the ones with at least some hope of recovery and ending with characters that have a fate worse than death. Let's get on with the first tier, where we have characters with terrible lives who still manage to fight their way out of it. Like Zuko, who technically had one of the worst destinies handed to him, but managed to tell fate to right off. When he first met the kid, he was nothing but an annoying menace who couldn't decide if he wanted to be a villain or a good guy. But we get the episode The Storm that gives us the backstory of how Zuko ended up with that scar and his impossible mission. The kid was 13 when his father decided to give him a face full of fire and banishment as a combo deal.
Rise and fight, Prince Zuko.
I won't fight you.
You will learn respect, and suffering will be your teacher.
And what was his crime? Showing basic human compassion by speaking out against the general's plan to sacrifice young Fire Nation soldiers. So what was his terrible destiny? He was to chase the Avatar, who'd been missing for a bloody century, by the way, with the slim hope that maybe, just maybe, his abusive father would love him again. Spoiler alert, Jose was never gonna love him. The man is a piece of shit wrapped in fire-breathing royalty. And eventually, Zuko realised this, and he broke out from his delusion that he could be accepted by his dad. He didn't make a 180 change of heart overnight, but he at least managed to change the history that he would have been bound to because of the family he was born into. And Zuko's not the only kid who inherited a war he didn't start. Steven Universe got a full diet of magical destiny stories and cool powers, along with a complimentary side dish of severe childhood trauma and PTSD. When I was just a little kid, I was almost jealous of Steven for getting to go on these cool adventures with magical guardians and learning to become a gem and a human at the same time. But yeah, I lost that jealousy pretty damn quickly after watching the episode Growing Pains. There, Steven goes for what should be a routine checkup with Dr. Maheshwarin, and she discovers his body has suffered numerous fractures from past traumas. Like his skeleton is practically held together with willpower and denial.
There's a clear history of numerous fractures, like here on the skull. Everything is perfectly aligned. It almost looks as if the bones healed themselves the instant the injuries occurred.
Then she asks him to try and tell him a happy memory, and to his horror, all of his happiest memories involve his life in danger in some way. You see, Steven inherited his mum's rose quartz gem, which sounds cool until you realise he also inherited her war, her mistakes, and the fact she was actually Pink Diamond, one of the tyrannical space dictators everyone was rebelling against. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy hand-me-down to get from a parent you've never even met. I mean, the kids dealt with the blame for genocide as well as multiple murder attempts. And now his PTSD is so bad that his body now treats minor threats like life or death situations, causing him to lose control of his powers and glow pink whenever he's stressed. But he's in tier 1, so there's got to be hope, right? Well, Steven eventually gets actual therapy, admits he needs help, and his support system rallies around him. His destiny was brutal, but he fought through it and found healing. That's more than most characters on this list can say. And yeah, I know it's hypocritical to talk about therapy for a cartoon character, knowing my history. Look, if this video gets, I don't know, 1 million views, I finally go for therapy. How about that? I hope you're happy to hear that, because this next character probably spent 50 years without feeling true happiness. Samurai Jack went from heroic warrior, saves the world, to old guy trapped in a nightmare future for 50 bloody years, with severe depression and thoughts. Yeah, the 2017 revival didn't mess about. In episode XCIII, or 93 for us layman's, we see just how broken Jack has become after 5 decades of fighting an impossible battle. He'd lost his sword, the one weapon that could kill Aku, and he'd lost all hope.
Who cares anymore? There's no way home. There's nothing to fight for. There's no more honor.
The episode shows him haunted by hallucinations, by his murdered family, and visions of all people he couldn't save over the years. And obviously, when you've been through all of that, your mind starts to tell you to do some not so great things to yourself. At a point in the series, the show doesn't even hide the fact that Jack is thinking about ending it all. Because what even is the point anymore, right?
You tired? Wouldn't it be great to be free of all of this? Our ancestors are waiting for us.
For a show that used to be about a samurai fighting robot beetles, that's one hell of a tonal shift. Jack's destiny is particularly cruel because Aku's time portal made him ageless. He doesn't age, which sounds great until you realise it means he's been stuck in this dystopian hellscape for 50 years. While his real home and family burn in the past, everyone he knew is dead. His kingdom's been conquered and he's trapped fighting a war he can't win against an enemy he can't kill without his sword. But with Ashi's help, he eventually reclaims his sword, defeats Aku, and returns to the past. It's crazy what the power of love can do to you, eh? His destiny seemed impossible and drove him to the brink of ending it all. But he fought through it and won. Though, spoilers, he lost Ashi in the process. He still gets his actual life back and saves his kingdom though. Those guys managed to fight through their terrible lives and get their shit together. But this next tier is for those that probably aren't getting out of their shitty lives anytime soon. They're pretty much destined to suffer for the rest of their lives. And who else could we possibly start with than Meg Griffin, the designated punching bag of the Griffin household? This girl's entire existence is to absorb abuse from her family, like some kind of emotional lightning rod. And in Seahorse Shoal Party, we see just how fucked her destiny really is. So the family's trapped inside during a hurricane, and after being insulted for the millionth time, Meg finally snaps. She calls out Peter for being a terrible father, Lois for being a narcissist, and Chris for being a lazy bastard.
Will you stop that? That is so annoying.
Oh, that was annoying? What about your stupid, obnoxious humming?
Meg, don't talk to your father like that.
Yeah, shut up, Meg.
No, you shut up, Chris. I am sick of all you guys ganging up on me. You guys all think you're so much better than me.
Oh, Meg, that is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
And you know what? She is absolutely right about all of it. And while I'm here for Meg standing up for herself, there's proper consequences for it. Without Meg being their punching bag, the family turns on each other like rabid dogs. They start ripping into one another, and the whole family falls apart.
Sprouts and broccoli? It's like an Irish bar fight down there.
Yeah, I kid you not. The Griffins can't survive without Meg being the abuse sponge. Meg has to apologize and take it all back just so her family can function again. Her destiny is to remain the family's toilet, and she's fully aware that her purpose in life is to be treated like shit so her family can function. This one doesn't even sound like destiny. It sounds like some kind of cruelly crafted hell for her after death. Maybe that's a theory for another video. Moving on to someone whose suffering is so iconic, it becomes a cultural metaphor. Charlie Brown and that goddamn football. Now, there's a million examples of Charlie Brown getting screwed over by the universe, but in Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown is particularly brutal. Chuck gets chosen to escort the little red-haired girl as homecoming queen. Sounds like it should be his moment, right?
It's the little red-haired girl. Sure, Charlie Brown. She's the homecoming queen, and you're supposed to escort her to the ball. She's your date, Charlie Brown.
Wrong. Lucy pulls the football away from him 4 times during the actual football game, including the game-winning field goal attempt. The team loses by 1 point, and everyone blames Charlie Brown for it. Not Lucy, who literally sabotaged him in front of everyone. Nope, it's somehow Chuck's fault. The universe is so cosmically rigged against this kid that CBS received actual viewer complaints about how unfair this episode was. And you know, I was right with them, mailing alongside them. People were so upset by how much fate was bullying this bold child that they wrote angry letters to a television network. And this isn't just a one-time joke either. Charlie Brown's entire life is like this. He tries to accomplish something and the universe responds by kicking him in the teeth every single time. And the cartoon universe seems to have a kink for putting people down, because we haven't even talked about Squidward tentacles yet. That squid is proper depressed, and not even in the funny way either. Like, sure, it's played for laughs and everything, and yeah, I laugh at him a good amount of times, but Squidward needs a damn vacation or something. Fucking hell. There's a time where SpongeBob asks him about his happiest moment, and Squidward realizes that he doesn't even have one. Not like Steven, who has memories, but all of them involve him on the verge of death.
So, what's your happiest memory, Squidward?
Let me think. I guess I don't have a happiest memory. Oh, well.
Nah, Squidward doesn't even have a single happy memory in his entire life. This sends him into a 2-week depression spiral, so severe that the episode includes some properly dark jokes about Squidward. I'm not even kidding. There's a bait and switch with an oven and a rope that got people talking.
I just can't seem to get happy. Well, that didn't help.
The writers clearly wanted us to understand just how deep Squidward's misery goes. So his destiny is to be trapped next to the loudest, most annoying neighbour imaginable, working a soul-crushing job at the Krusty Krab, constantly having his dreams crushed, and even when he gets a brief moment of rest or success, the universe snatches it away immediately. I don't know how he even has the strength to get up every morning knowing that's just his entire life. And since we're talking about the more cartoony shows, how about one of the real OGs? Tom the f***ing cat who can never catch a break. I could pick any episode of Tom and Jerry to prove my point, because the whole series, every episode, every scene is just Tom getting absolutely demolished by Jerry in increasingly horrible ways. So let's talk about one of the episodes that really showed just how f***ed things are for the cat, and even that damn mouse too. In Blue Cat Blues, Tom bankrupts himself by trying to win a female cat's heart, only to lose her to the richer Butch. The episode ends with Tom sitting on train tracks waiting to be run over. Then Jerry's girlfriend does the same thing to him, and Jerry joins Tom on the tracks. The episode just ends there, with both of them waiting to die. I'm sure everyone's seen a clip from this episode at least once, but bloody f***ing hell, cartoons can get dark. Even beyond that one episode, Tom's entire destiny is to fail, even when he's completely in the right and Jerry is objectively the aggressor or the one causing problems. Tom is the one who gets punished. The universe is fundamentally rigged against him. He, as well as everyone else in that tier, is destined to live a life of misery for as long as they live. But there's some characters that are better off just not having that life in the first place, if you know what I mean. Take Courage, the rightfully named cowardly dog. His literal job description is be terrified every single day while saving ungrateful assholes from supernatural horror. The show ran for 4 seasons with 52 episodes, and in basically every single one, Courage has to face some form of cosmic horror, demon, alien, monster, or paranormal entity that threatens to kill, eat, or possess Muriel and Eustace. And every single time, the cowardly dog has to pull up his pants and stare death in the face. I just know that if I was in that situation, I'm sprinting out of that goddamn house. Courage has way bigger balls than I do. And that's just his destiny. He's not meant to be brave sometimes. His life is to be terrified every single day, forever, and still save everyone anyway. That's pretty heroic, sure, but it's also a complete nightmare. I'd rather be Squidward, honestly. At least he only deals with annoying neighbours and not eldritch abominations. The fact that Courage even survives these daily devils is a miracle in itself. You know, Courage's life might actually not be the worst. Imagine losing yourself completely. Simon Petrikov's story is genuinely one of the most heartbreaking destinies in cartoon history. I Remember You is the episode that makes you want to curl up in a ball and cry. Ice King visits Marceline to write a song, and she discovers old letters Simon wrote to her before the crown completely consumed his mind. These letters are Simon apologising in advance for what he's going to become. He knew the crown was erasing him bit by bit, and he was powerless to stop it.
Look! This clipping, this was you, Simon, before the war.
Because he needed it to survive the post-apocalyptic world and protect young Marceline. And we even get to see how the crown was a necessity for him to survive the post-apocalyptic world. In Simon and Marcy, we see flashbacks of Simon slowly losing himself each time he puts on the crown to protect her from danger. Every time he uses it, a bit more of Simon disappears and a bit more of the Ice King emerges. And he did it willingly, because the alternative was letting Marceline die. By the time the series starts, Simon Petrikov is effectively dead, and the Ice King is what's left. He became the butt of the joke that spent his life chasing after princesses and getting his arse handed to him. Rightfully so by Finn and Jake. It's heartbreaking, especially knowing the brilliant mind that used to be there under all that crazy. But if we're talking about destinies worse than death, then how can we forget little Kenny and his fate, which is literally death? When South Park started, Kenny dying in every episode was just a running gag. Oh my god, they killed Kenny.
Oh my god, they've killed Kenny! You bastards!
I heard that shit at least once a day as a kid. It was just a dark comedy, nothing more. But then the show revealed that it's not just a gag. Kenny is actually cursed. Yeah, I was absolutely tilted when I fucking heard this. He genuinely dies, feels everything that comes with that death. The pain, the trauma, everything. And then wakes up the next day alive again, with all of his memories intact. No one else remembers except him, and occasionally Cartman, which is somehow worse. Take a fucking second and just remember all of the deaths that Kenny has experienced. He's burned alive, crushed, exploded, eaten, dismembered, you name it. And then he wakes up, goes to school, and has to pretend everything is normal while carrying the trauma of multiple deaths that nobody else actually acknowledges. Kenny's existence is a literal horror movie playing on loop. That has to be one of the worst destinies in all of fiction. At least Simon lost his memories of what he'd been. Kenny has to remember everything. Now, before we go ahead and wrap this up, let's give a quick shout out to a couple of characters who came close but didn't quite make the cut. Plankton deserves a mention for his eternal failure destiny. The bloke has created thousands of elaborate schemes to steal the Krabby Patty formula.
Aaron, quick! You gotta cut this Krabby Patty out of me stat!
And every single one fails spectacularly. His entire life is dedicated to a goal he will never achieve, ever. Imagine your life's purpose being something you're cosmically designed to fail at. He didn't make the cut though, because one, he can just do something else with his life. I mean, come on, he's got the money to keep a failing restaurant running and build completely useless inventions. But he can't just try a different venture. I wouldn't call that a destiny, just a really stubborn asshole. And then there's Butters, the sweet innocent kid who gets absolutely wrecked by circumstances beyond his control in basically every episode he's in. He's grounded for things he didn't do, manipulated by Cartman constantly, and generally treated like rubbish despite being genuinely kind and well-meaning. His destiny is to be the universe's chew toy while maintaining his innocence and optimism.
That guy, he must be tough. Hallelujah!
Which is both admirable and deeply sad. Both of them have terrible destinies, but they don't quite reach the existential horror of the main list. That doesn't mean they don't still deserve a call out. In fact, no. What everyone on this list deserves is a hug and therapy and some nice fucking food, maybe a good cup of tea. I'm hungry now. Well, at least I can get myself one of these things. I'm gonna go make myself an absolutely baller sandwich. In the meantime, like and subscribe, and maybe we might actually get to that 1 million views so I can start therapy. I hope not, but at the same time I do. Cheerio.